Get ready to hear some noise tonight. You're just seconds away from Let's Go Blues Radio.
No doubt about it, eh? You're listening to Curt, Bill, and Jeff on Let's Go Blues Radio, the original St. Louis Blues hockey fan podcast. Take it away, boys.
Okay, I don't know. Whatever it is, it's not right on the teleprompter. I don't know what that is. I've never seen that. Okay. Yeah, I can't. There's no words on it. Sure. There's no words there. I can't do it. Okay. We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. F***ing thing sucks.
In 5, 4, 3.
Welcome to Season 7, Episode 2 of Let's Go Blues Radio. We're live on Monday, July 2nd, 2018. Happy July 4th on Wednesday, everyone. This is franchise episode number 135 all-time. My name is Curt Price. My Twitter handle is @CurtPrice. Bill Day is with us. His Twitter handle is @BillyBlueNote. And Jeff Ponder, his Twitter handle is @JPonder94. If you want to send the show a tweet, send it to @LGBRadio, and we will read it live on the air. And we will talk about what you have to say. And if you want to go ahead and stop by the letsgoblues.com shop and check out a shirt, mug, or sticker from the shop, we'd appreciate it. Jeff Ponder is also doing the summer interview series. And where'd he go? He just left all of a sudden. Ponder is doing the summer interview series every week or so. He's releasing a new interview. So we have the Zipper interview coming up later on, probably next week. So we also have a guest this evening with us, giving us the Buffalo perspective out of Buffalo, New York. Chad, and I'm not going to try and pronounce his name, so I'm going to call him the Chad. I'll let Jeff do that. And Jeff says he lost internet the minute we started. Hang on. He'll be with us in a second. So, Bill,
good evening.
Yes, the official. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well. Thank you for asking.
Oh, you're welcome. You know I care about you. The official beers of episode number 135.
I am going with another Surly product. The Surly 60 Below Rye IPA. It's a summer beer. Been buying a lot of cans for the coldness factor, given how just goddamn hot it is, and so going with a lot of Surly cans so far this summer and enjoying them.
Mine this evening is the one I've had on the show a couple times last year, and I had a few cans left, so I'm going to try and maybe drink it tonight. We'll see if I can get through them all. It is the chocolate peanut butter porter from the Horny Goat Brewery. The Horny Goat. What's a Horny Goat? What was it? Just Horny Goat? Yeah.
Yeah, you've had that on a few times. I
have last year. This is the first appearance this year, and it's I just like this, and I haven't found it in the stores since last year, so I'm kind of concerned, to tell you the truth.
Jeff found the interwebs.
Jeff did.
I mean, literally, the minute you hit start, I lost my internet connection.
I hit the wrong button. It was the dump Jeff button.
Oh. Well, that probably is better for the show.
Sorry, my fault. Did you go out California way to get the internets?
I did. California way. And I would tell you where I got it, but you don't have internet. South Park joke, right? Is that what you're going with that?
Yes, you're very correct. So we're on. Actually, we've done beers the episode, and we finished up with Chad, and now we're talking about the Perron sign.
Oh, great. Okay, I know you're ready for my take on that.
What's your beer of the episode?
My beer is at something you cannot get in St. Louis or in Missouri. Yingling traditional lager. Got this when I was down in Gulf Shores. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy these up because you can't get them here. Can you get them in Illinois?
No.
Indiana is the closest you can get them.
Oh, that's so far.
Yeah. And who wants to go to Indiana?
No one.
In the grand scheme of the universe, it is not that far.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the universe. I'm talking about my immediate universe. which is basically from Kirkwood to where you live.
Yeah, and where we live is the outer limits.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
So I a number of my friends like Yingling, and I'm not a big Yingling fan. I've had it a number of times. It's just I know it's the Budweiser of the East.
No, and it's not my favorite either. It's just I know it's something that I'm not going to be able to get until I go to Indiana, which will be never.
So it tastes because you can't have it.
Right. I still have probably 5 or 6 of a 24 pack I bought when I went to Nashville 2 years ago, thinking the same thing.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's one of those things. St. Louis people do it all the time. Go somewhere south or east, bring it back.
Yep. Yeah. You always want what you can't have, John Tavares.
So it's your John Tavares tribute beer.
This is the tribute to John Tavares joining the Maple Leafs instead of the Blues. Jerk.
Because that was going to happen.
Yeah, got what he wanted. There was that picture.
From what it sounded like, Doug Armstrong sure was trying, even after he said, no, I don't want to go to St. Louis. Doug was like that ex-girlfriend that just kept calling.
11. It probably would have been substantially over 11 million. To get him to. I mean, that's his childhood team, right? So I mean,
yeah,
you're talking like 12 and a half, maybe 13 to come.
Well, what's the max? The max cap, isn't it 12 or 13?
I think in the 13 range.
So yeah, that's probably what they would have had to offer, and even then, he might not have considered it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know, we can get to that later, but I think that's going to wind up in the long run costing them Matthews or Marner. Definitely Nylander. They're not going to be able to afford all of that.
So something big happened yesterday. Fairly big.
What?
There was some news in the evening that kind of broke that, and we have a guest on this evening to chat about said big news. His name is Chad DeDominicis. I'm not going to work here anymore.
DeDominicis.
Out of Buffalo, New York. So he's going to give us the Buffalo perspective on the deal, and we can probably give insight on the players that they received, and he can give us some insight on the player that the Blues received.
So who is this guy? Is he just a fan? What is he?
Chad is the managing editor of SB Nation's Die by the Blade and co-host for Beyond the Blade podcast. So yeah, so we're going to chat. How are you doing, Chad?
I'm good. I'm enjoying listening to you guys. I'm trying not to laugh too hard over here.
You're probably the only one.
Some of those movie lines had me trying to hold my breath. So that was good.
That's what I get. I get a lot of eye rolls. We're a big movie quoting show.
That's good.
And
I like it.
In my personal life, I tell people I don't tell these jokes for other people. I just do it to amuse myself.
Yeah, because we're really the only listeners of the show.
Well, of course,
we like to listen to ourselves tell these hilarious jokes.
All right. I listen to my own podcast 500 times after I post it to get the hits up.
And
all on different platforms.
Exactly.
That's the key.
And I think we're actually the most listened to Blues fan podcast. And right, Jeff? Everybody else has negative numbers.
I think so. Yeah.
Right.
That's how the math works.
And all but one of our iTunes reviews is by Jeff's mom.
She's a great lady.
She is.
She has a lot of email accounts.
Burner accounts.
Right.
Before we get too much into talking about my mom, I do want to talk to Chad a little bit about this trade and amongst other things, because the Sabres kind of had a big week as well. It seemed to me, though, and I think you'll agree, Chad, that this trade was kind of in the works for a while. Was this something? I mean, for me, if you would have asked me a week ago, are the Blues going to get Ryan O'Reilly? I probably would have given you about an 85% yes from what we were hearing. Did you feel as confident about that as I was?
No, actually, I didn't. I was told as early as yesterday morning, and maybe even gosh, what day is today? Tuesday, Monday?
Monday.
I think it was Saturday night even. That it was looking like nobody was going to pay the price. Once that bonus came, the price was going to go up. And if nobody's paying that price, they're not paying the price after the bonus. So from what I was hearing is it was more likely he could have been staying. Now, the Blues were the whole time the front runner. It was the Blues in Montreal, but the Canadiens died after the draft because after the picks were gone, Bottle didn't have much interest. But no, I was a little surprised how quick it kind of came together. I still thought it was a chance it could happen. But I think maybe the Islanders kicking some tires here may have kind of got these two back together and to get a deal done at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, kind of along the same lines there. Doug Armstrong, Blues GM, said in a phone conference yesterday afternoon that he wasn't going to give up a top prospect for Ryan O'Reilly, so the deal's basically dead. Was that something you think? Do you think it might have been a kind of a play for Jason Botterill to say, okay, not going to get a top prospect from them. He's coming out with it. I need to change my mind, or do you think they just kind of kept talking and a deal was struck?
Yeah, I don't know, because then, they signed Bozak earlier in the day, too. And once I saw that, I'm like, okay, St. Louis is out, so O'Reilly's probably definitely not going anywhere. And then, once the deal came through, when Pierre LeBrun tweeted about it, the first initial thing I even tweeted is, okay, who caved? Did the Sabres cave in, or did the Blues cave in? And kind of when this deal came out, it was kind of hard to tell who caved because we don't really know the discussions. I really think part of it was getting Bozak. They got him at a decent deal. And, the Sabres, at the end of the day, kind of, I feel like maybe ran this thing to the very end, the 11th hour, excuse me, on paying that bonus. Because it appears that they really didn't want to, although their owner is one of the richest in the NHL. It appears they really didn't want to pay that bonus, so they kind of ran it to the 11th hour in paying that bonus. And I don't want to say took the best deal they could get, but best deal they could get at the time and kind of wanted to change up their core.
So you think that was something that Botterill was kind of really, I guess more ownership, the Pagulas. Was that something you think that they were like, we just don't want to pay this because we know we're going to trade him? Or was it something more on the Blues side that said, hey, we're willing to pay this? Basically, the Blues paying the bonus, who do you think was the one that was like, okay, let's make this happen from your standpoint?
I think it was the Blues paying the bonus. If the Sabres were going to take Berglund and Sobotka in this deal, the cap dumps, then Botterill, and rightfully so, was like, okay, you're paying the bonus then. It didn't make a lot of sense financially, no matter how big the pockets of the Pagulas are, to take on that salary and pay the bonus and then hand them over to St. Louis. I feel like if the Sabres are taking on salary and they're paying that bonus, then we're talking about a different prospect that's not Tage Thompson. If a deal would have even got done in the first place. I feel like it would have cost the Blues more. Maybe it's 2 first-round picks and not 1 and a 2, or there's a higher prospect involved in this and not Tage Thompson.
So what were your initial reactions to the trade?
I personally, I wasn't expecting Thompson. I didn't really think about it. We heard Robert Thomas, a week ago, and then that was kind of quickly shut down. I am a huge fan of Thomas, so that would have been great, but that's not likely. We heard Parayko a little bit, but again, I never thought that was likely. The guy that I thought was likely that I've always followed, even dating back to the deadline, was Jordan Kyrou. I'm a big fan of his. He kind of caught my attention, the World Juniors that were in Buffalo when I saw him play. I was maybe more expecting him or possibly Costin, but Thompson went in there, and I told you guys before the podcast started, I saw Thompson. I had to Google who Thompson was because it didn't click in my head until I saw the name that it was Tage Thompson. But looking at it now, I don't have a lot of problem with it. It's weird. I'm actually writing about it now. I'll have an article up tomorrow on it. I've never seen a trade like this that had such varying opinions. There's people who love it, and there's people who hate it, and there's very few in the middle. And I haven't seen a trade like that in a long time where people are on one end and on the complete opposite end. There's really nobody in the middle. So I don't mind it. They get a couple players that actually all 3 players will probably be in the NHL next year, Thompson, Berglund, and Sobotka. And, Berglund and Sobotka vastly improved the bottom 6, which was an absolute nightmare last season that gave almost no production. And that was part of the scoring woes. And then Thompson is going to probably get a top 6 opportunity with either Casey Middlesex or Jack Eichel, which, is from what you guys have told me, it's a lot more than what he got last year to play with in the center. So, and then you throw in that first round pick. I mean, that gives the Sabres 3 first round picks with their own San Jose from the Evander Kane trade now, and then this Blues one. So now they have 3 first round picks as ammo if they want to go chase another top 6 winger either this summer or next summer. So
do you think they'll end up trading 1 or 2 of those picks? Do you think that they're wanting to kind of draft more in next year's draft?
I don't know. It's hard to read Botterill. It's tough to say at this point. He's only been here just over a year now. I would think he moves at least one of those because this lineup needs a top 6 winger, specifically a left winger, badly. They traded for Connor Sherry. He's going to play with Eichel on that top line, probably with Sam Reinhart. And then Thompson fills in on that second line / maybe third line, depending how that goes, with Middlestat. But they don't really have a left winger there right now. And I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to try to have one of their prospects maybe grab that role, or they're going to maybe move up a guy like Evan Rodriguez into that spot. But it's a hole in the roster right now. So personally, I think they'll move it. I wouldn't shock me if Bottle just makes the picks. He loves to pick his European players, especially Swedes. If you look at the Sabres roster, they're starting to just generate Team Sweden over here. Or Team Sweden and Boston University. Those are the only 2 players they have on their team now, I think.
That probably explains your name on Twitter, the Die by the Blade name, right?
Yes. University of Boston at Sweden. Yes, that is exactly why it's that. Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe Curt and Bill would disagree with me, but I feel like Berglund and Sobotka really are 2 great bottom 6 players for you. I just think they were overpaid and misused in St. Louis, but I think in a bottom 6 role for you and Berglund possibly 3rd, 4th line, Sobotka the same, they're going to do great for you. But at the same time, Ryan O'Reilly was kind of functioning as your second line center. Do you think that's going to be something that the club's going to miss, or do you think that they've got enough young depth to fill his role?
I think the start it's going to be hard. I mean, Middlestat's doesn't turn 20 years old till November. He's going into his first full NHL season. The kid's got loads of talent. I mean, he's fun to watch. So I think he's going to be a really good player. I think getting Berglund is kind of important in this deal because it allows the Sabres to shelter Middlestat a little bit. Maybe to start, Berglund gets more minutes, and he probably should. Probably more than Middlestat kind of maybe as he gets going here. But eventually kind of when Middlestat kind of gets going, gets the full flow of an NHL season, maybe a month or 2 in, I kind of think he'll take over that second line role. Berglund will kind of fall into the third line center. Maybe even fourth line, because the Sabres do have a couple of kids, Rasmus Asplund and Sean Malone, prospects who are going to be nipping at that fourth line, third line role. They're pretty good prospects, so maybe Berglund even drop under a fourth line role, which isn't a problem with that, and he brings that leadership side too, which maybe we'll get to with O'Reilly here in a little bit, because that's kind of one of the big deals and why this trade actually did happen. Right, O'Reilly is out of Buffalo now.
So, I mean, what are your impressions of Ryan O'Reilly? What can Blues fans expect from him in the locker room and on the ice?
I'm going to put it this way. I'm going to give you the good things first. I'm going to give you the bad things second. The good things are he's a really good hockey player. You can take it to the bank every single season, at least for the next few years, that he's going to give you between 20 to 25 goals in a good year and 55 to 60 points. Does he have a potential to get over that? Sure. Is it likely? Probably not. But again, that's the production you're going to get. He's an excellent face-off guy. That's one of the things. I think he took the most face-offs like in NHL history last season, or won the most, something like that.
Won the most, yep.
Yeah, that's what it was. So he's an excellent face-off guy, so that'll be good. He's good in his own end, but the things that are going to bother Blues fans a little bit, he has the tendency to disappear for a couple weeks. He's a very streaky scorer. He'll have a really good 15-game stretch where he's going to get 17, 18, 15 points in 15 games. And then he's going to go 10 to 12 games where he has 2. And that's just kind of the way he is. The other thing that I'll forewarn you was kind of funny. Get used to it now. After bad nights, it is always going to be Ryan O'Reilly's fault. He will always tell you that he needs to be better, and he will tell you all the time. So please get used to it. When you first hear it, you're going to be like, man, this guy really cares. That's good to hear. And then when you hear it the 10th, the 15th, the 20th time, it just becomes eye roll. Like, okay, dude, like I got it. It's I mean, this is the way it is. It's just it's good. He takes accountability. He understands he has to be better. But at one point, you just want to scream at the TV or me, who kind of stands in front of him, like, okay, why aren't you? But then just play better. Why aren't you playing better? And so there's that. And then the other part of it is, well, two more things. You know, he's not the best skater. A lot of people make a big deal that, like, in Buffalo, speed is a huge thing in Buffalo right now. They're one of the slowest teams in the league. O'Reilly's not the most fleet of foot guy. He's average. He's fine. He plays the game fast, which I think is more important than being a quick skater. Personally, he's being able to play the game quickly. But he's not the greatest with his foot speed, but that's not the huge deal. And the locker room thing, though, is he has that reputation of being a good locker room leader guy when he came from Colorado, that he'd be a potential captain one day. That never happened. He left Colorado with rumors of stuff wasn't going well, not meshing with Matt Duchene, was something happy about some things. Came to Buffalo, an opportunity, and he's leaving now where maybe there was talk he didn't mesh that great with Jack Eichel. There were some things in the room that reports of rumors that just there were some issues there in the room in general. Maybe not all of it fell at the feet of Ryan O'Reilly, but this is the second team he's departing now where we're hearing about some sort of locker room issue. You know, I'm in the room for game nights. I'm not in the room between, you know, practices and when just the players are in there. So I don't really know what happens in the room. But this being the second time now, I kind of think there might be some smoke to that fire here. So that's one thing I'd warn fans. I would not expect him to come in there and be that big leader guy. But, I mean, you don't need that. You know, you have guys like Pietrangelo there and Steen, you know, that kind of run that room. So you don't really need that. But I wouldn't be looking for that necessarily out of O'Reilly. I wouldn't be expecting that, at least.
So another big thing for the Sabres yesterday was that they signed Carter Hutton, former Blues backup. Some would argue the starter last year. What are your impressions of him, and what are you expecting from him in a starting role?
Yeah, I'm excited about it. You know, he comes over with a great reputation with, you know, in the room. It's just kind of what the Sabres need, you know, going from, I guess he's the polar opposite of Robin Leonard, who was here, who kind of was more of a standoffish guy. I mean, he was a great interview, I'll tell you that, but more of a standoffish guy. But, you know, he's coming here with the understanding that he's, at the very least, going to split time with Linus Ullmark, who right now is the future of the Sabres going forward. He's 24 years old. He spent the last 2 years in the American League, was a two-time All-Star. He got a couple games last year. So, and he even said in his, you know, his media availability that he understands that. He knows what his role is. He's going to come in here. He's going to play they're probably going to split, but he understands his role is to help mentor Ullmark because he is the future in the net, at least until UPL, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, one of the best goaltending names in the entire league, arrives from Finland in the next few years. But, yeah, it's moving forward. It's going to be Ullmark's net. I bet they'll split this year, and then he might fall into that role depending on how Ullmark does. I don't want to say backup, but Ullmark could play the majority of the games after this season. But again, he understands that role, so you know that's good to hear coming in.
I wanted to say, let me jump in real quick. That we got a tweet from Mr. Blues Hat.
I was going to read that.
Okay. Said that, you have to take his jabs with a grain of salt. He goes, if Buffalo Boy thinks Ryan is slow, wait until he sees Berglund.
Oh, I know Berglund. I watch a lot of hockey. I know Berglund is not at all a fast, quick skater. I'm not expecting that by any means. So they've kind of addressed that in other areas. You know, Dahlin, Sheary, Eichel is very quick. Middlestat's quick. So they have some kids coming up who are faster too. They have Brendan Gooley, who's a quick skater. So I'm not at all expecting Patrick Berglund to come out there and skate up and on the ice fast as he can. So I appreciate his concern, but I knew that was coming.
My thing with Berglund was always that he didn't seem to have a lot of vision in the offensive zone. So his typical thing was to put his head down on the boards, kind of curl back and skate towards the corner, and then curl again and throw it back to the point. That was his play. He really didn't funnel the puck towards the net as much as he probably should have. Didn't shoot as much as he should have, and had his head down a lot. And basically, is well, okay, if I got to pass to the corner, I'll take it. Oh nope, that's cut off. I'm going back to the point. That's really what he did time and time again. So I don't know. Keep a lookout for that.
Well, as long as he's putting the puck on Rasmus Dahlin's stick at the point, I'm not going to be too upset about it.
That's what I was going to say. You got a guy like Dahlin back there. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like in Pee Wee hockey or something. It's like the kid that's the kid that's not very good. Okay, you if you get the puck, pass it to him.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I mean I'll say too that again I think defensively you're going to like what you're getting from Berglund and Sobotka, but don't expect too much of an offensive outburst. Except for Berglund, if you look up his March numbers, they're impressive. He usually ends the season really well. So if you're in a playoff hunt, you want that guy on the rink, is what it seems.
Here's the deal with wasn't it tweeted out that who tweeted that out that Berglund had last year had one primary assist on a goal,
1 or 2, yeah,
2 primary assists on a goal all season, which was kind of disturbing.
Yeah, that's good. Good stuff there.
we're giving some great stuff here.
Just throwing out stats that you might not have heard of otherwise. So.
He only passes the defense. He's slow and doesn't get primary assists. Got it.
But he plays well in his own zone. So
they do need that. They do need that. So if he's good defensively, I'll take it. Be my defensive specialist.
He's pretty good defensively. I mean, he's not going to make a ton of mistakes in his own zone out there. So.
Well, they need that. So that'll be helpful.
So getting back into goaltending, Chad Johnson has spent 2 different stints now, I believe, with Buffalo. Blues signed him yesterday. What can Blues fans expect from Chad Johnson in goal?
Oh, Chad Johnson. Not to scare you guys by any means. Don't look up his save percentage last year, FYI. Some of that was due to the Sabres defense, but I assure you not all of it was. He started off last year pretty rough, is to put it nicely. Again, the defensive front of him was not the greatest, but there was way too many leaky goals. Goals that just shots from the wall, shots from the point with nobody in front of you that just squeezed through them. Chad's a good guy, and I kind of felt bad for him this year. He even said after the season that if he knew it was going to be this way in Buffalo, he wouldn't have come back here. And I can understand that. I mean, it looked like the defense was going to be better. It wasn't, and that didn't help. When he played, there was a lot of backdoor tap-ins and 2-on-1s and odd man rushes, and that didn't help. But again, that's not all of it. He'll have stretches where he plays well. And he's going to have stretches where he's not playing that well. I mean, and again, that's kind of your typical backup goaltender. The only thing that would concern me with St. Louis is, I don't know, we're going on 2 years now of Jake Allen not being able to firmly hold on to the starting goaltending role.
Well, you know that too?
What was that?
You noticed that too?
Yeah. So if you're going to have that same issue, I mean, I don't know how comfortable I feel about Chad Johnson trying to get in there for 20 to 25 games. Maybe not that long of a stretch, but even 10 games kind of man the nets for you. I don't think that's going to be a great idea. So I would be hoping that Allen can kind of take the role this year and doesn't need that guy back there to kind of, I don't want to say bail him out, but bail him out because it's not going to go well with Johnson over a long stretch. He'll give you a few nights, but you're going to start, the longer he's in there, the more leaky goals you're going to see going.
Right.
Mr. Bozak should really be our stats, our intern. Because
stats intern. There you go.
He tweeted to us that as far as back to Berglund goes, 1 primary assist to a forward last season. He had a few more to a D. So
okay, well, again, pass Rasmus Dahlin and we'll be fine. We'll be good.
There you go.
which lends to the whole comment of him passing back to the point where he got a few.
Right.
Bill, you were saying?
I was just going to say on Chad Johnson, I think probably the best 10-game stretch of his career was when Brian Elliott and he were tandem in Calgary after the Blues traded Elliott there. And Johnson had to come in emergency relief when Elliott forgot how to stop pucks after that signing. But then after that, Calgary was just hot garbage. So.
Yeah, and then if you remember, though, I mean, Johnson got there for 10 games. When happened after the 11th, 12th game is he started the same thing. He started to go downhill, too. So it's he'll give you a good stretch. He can get you 5 to 7, but he's not a guy you want getting close as many games as Allen played, or you're in trouble back there. You're going to want to find another goaltender by the midpoint of the season, probably, if Allen can't control it.
Well, I think a lot of us here are secretly hoping that Billy Husso will come in and take over. Not that the Blues brass will ever allow that to happen.
Yeah, we got a kid coming up, Billy Husso, that's supposed to be he's very highly touted, and believe he'll be the starter here one day. And rumor is he's going to be battling Johnson for the backup role this year. But we've got a head coach in St. Louis that doesn't really favor the kids, so it should be interesting.
That's never ideal, but
yeah. And when was the last time the Blues made a solid goaltending decision?
It's been a while.
Let's see.
Grant Pure. Pure.
Yeah.
So
20 years.
I do want to ask you a general Buffalo Sabres question. So you've got Jack Eichel a couple of years ago in the draft at number 2. This year you get Rasmus Dahlin at number 1. What's the buzz like in Buffalo? Would you say that it's more now because you've got another highly touted player, or was it kind of bigger when everybody thought Eichel was going to come in and blow the world apart?
No, it's definitely bigger now. I mean, to be honest with you, Rasmus Dahlin saved that franchise a lot of money. People were fed up in the last season. Season ticket holders were done. They weren't renewing. That building was the emptiest I think I've seen it since post-lockout days. And if you know Buffalo, it is a great hockey market. That building was always full. It was embarrassing at points last year how empty it was. I don't want to pick other franchises, but it got to the points at some nights, not a lot, but some nights where it got the Carolina and Florida levels in there, which is 100% not Buffalo. But that's what happens when you have one of the worst teams in the league and a team who finishes in last place 3 out of the last 5 years. But yeah, that buzz and excitement is back with Dahlin. We just had, development camp here where he was in town, and they have the smaller rink attached to the arena. It's called Harbor Center. It's but it sits about 7,000 to 10,000. Maybe it's a little bit much, but it was full every single day, and it was for both prospect classes. The buzz is around. People already walk around their Dahlin jerseys, and he definitely, I think, has energized and invigorated the franchise. And I think he's done so with the players too. It's Eichel's doesn't have to be the guy anymore. And really, when you talk to the Buffalo Sabres, I know Ryan O'Reilly was here, but it really was Jack Eichel and everybody else. And the offense flowed through him. The team flowed through him. If he had a rough stretch, the team didn't win a lot of games. If he scored 2 to 3 goals, they had a chance of winning that night. Or at least set up 2 to 3 goals, they had a chance of winning. So I think it's huge for him. I think it takes some pressure off of Casey Middlestat. It takes pressure off of Rasmus Ristolainen, who doesn't have to be the number 1 anymore. He doesn't have to play 25, 30 minutes a night. He can now go back into like a 20 to 19-minute kind of role. And, it allows players to fall into position more defensively, too. They have, like I mentioned, Brendan Gooley, who, and I would urge you guys to watch him skate when he plays the Blues. I know it's only twice a year, but he could skate like Dahlin. The kid is a very impressive skater. He's 6'4" too. So he's got that size and skates like the wind. He's not offensively as gifted as Dahlin. Not many guys are, but he brings offense. So there's a lot of good things happening. And then if you add Hutton into it and you add Allmark, the goaltending should be better. The goaltending was probably the worst in the league last year, or one of the worst at least in Buffalo. So when you try to put it together, you add Connor Sheary into it. You add some of the kids. We'll see what Tage Thompson turns into. He'll be given an opportunity here. And then when you put Berglund and Sobotka in that bottom 6, that was an absolute mess. That had Jordan Nolan playing 15 minutes at some point last year, which is by no means should ever happen on any NHL team, regardless. There's Johan Larsson, who had 1 goal. Zygmunt Girgensons is a former first-round pick who had 12 points all year long. There was no production in the bottom 6. And if Sobotka and Berglund give them anything production-wise, then it's more than Sabres got last year. So, that's the kind of improvement there that they really needed.
I think Berglund and Sobotka on the 3rd and 4th line would be fine. I think the problem with St. Louis is what Berglund was probably asked to do a little too much more than he was capable of doing. So, if you restrict him to third and fourth line responsibilities, I think that might play into his wheelhouse a bit more.
Yeah, there's no reason he should get off of that third line. I mean, they're pretty stacked in the top six besides the left winger, and they're not going to shove one of those guys there. So the top six is kind of set. So that's good. They'll fall in the right spot.
I think if every now and then, if somebody's injured, somebody's sick, you throw Berglund in your top six, it's not going to kill you.
But even to mix things up too within a game too,
it's too much.
Right.
They did it a lot.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, Sobotka on the power play.
No. Yeah. Don't.
That happened a lot.
Whatever you tell Phil Housley and make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I find it interesting, that the Blues always talk in terms of top nine, whereas in Buffalo it's a clear top six, bottom six, and I think that's probably a healthier setup overall for both Berglund and Sobotka, because I think they can fit in either anywhere in that bottom six, whereas here it was like anything goes. Berglund, we're still high on him. He's going to slot in second line. Sobotka we found some top line minutes for him. Shouldn't happen as part of the overall plan.
He was on the line for a while.
They're only going to sit in that third line role probably 1 year even. They're probably going to be fourth line guys next year. Like I mentioned, they have Rasmus Asplund coming, who's going to be a third line center. And they have this kid out of Sweden who was a 7th round pick that actually played with Dahlin for Frölunda, Victor Olofsson, and I'm telling you guys right now, I'm not lying to you. I have never seen a kid shoot like that kid shoots it. It is impressive to watch. If he can figure out how to come play in North America, and he can, be an average skater, that kid can just rip it. I mean, he led the Swedish Elite League last year in goals as a 24-year-old, so his shot is really impressive to watch. So I'll let you guys know when he gets in the league, because you just got to watch the kids shoot it, because it's pretty impressive to see.
So we do get a couple more tweets here, and we're going to have Chad on here for about just a couple more minutes. I don't want to take up too much of his night. It's 11 o'clock out there right now in Buffalo. But Mr. Blues Hat again tweets us and says, Chad's okay. Talking about Chad Johnson. Allen won't break down until January. That's true. But then Bob Rakowski, who is one of my favorite Twitter handles, at Wowzy, he says, who was Ryan O'Reilly most on a line with in Buffalo?
He spent a lot of time with Kyle Oposo. They kind of meshed well together. Oposo's first year here. I'm giving Oposo a pass on last season with the whole concussion stuff, that he didn't really have a full off season. So I'm hoping he kind of has a better season. That might not turn out to be the case, but that's what I'm praying for. But yeah, he played a lot with Oposo. He saw some time with Sam Reinhart in the second half of last year. And that's kind of when Reinhart went on that crazy point per game pace. And Reinhart ended with 50 points. I think like 37 of that came from January 1st on. So it was kind of crazy how hot he got. But it was primarily Oposo and Reinhart on the right side. And then the left side, like I said, it's kind of been a mess. He saw some time with Evander Kane before he left, but not really. But that left wing has been a mess. It's kind of been a revolving door there the last few years. So, but primarily it was Oposo and Reinhart on his right side.
Mr. Blues Hat was the gentleman you had the Anchorman back and forth with.
Yes, I vividly remember that. I do remember that.
He said he enjoyed it. He said he enjoyed the Anchorman repertoire.
Oh, I love Anchorman too. So I'm all for that. The one thing I just thought of was talking about O'Reilly. I do want to mention, you guys, as a precautionary tale, I guess, is I think he had 24 goals last year. I want to say O'Reilly had. I should have it in front of me, but I don't. But I'm pretty sure only 9 of those came at even strength. Right. So that's something to take note of. He primarily puts up his goals and points on the power play more than even strength. Now, he's not a bad even strength player, but in today's NHL, that's something that I think should be worth of note to keep an eye on.
That's interesting because his power play goals jumped from previous seasons last year. He had the most power play goals he's ever had in his career last season. Mm-hmm. And when Shen came over, he was touted as a guy who could score on the power play, and he had good power play numbers before he came here. But then in Yo's system, he dropped off, and the whole power play was terrible. Yep. So hopefully,
O'Reilly will help that. He will help that.
Well, they keep bringing in power play players.
Hopefully it doesn't happen with O'Reilly, where he doesn't. Hopefully he is above the system or whatever, and he doesn't let the system affect his play.
So are you guys? Is O'Reilly going to come there, and is he anticipated to be the number one center, or is that going to be Shen? He falls in, or they kind of split it?
I think it'll be Shen, personally. I think you'll still have Shen and Schwartz. The Armstrong said yesterday it's going to be Shen, Schwartz, Tarasenko, but I know I'd like to see that changed. I actually would like to see what Tarasenko can do with O'Reilly. I think Shen and Schwartz play really well together. If you can get Tarasenko and O'Reilly to mesh together, then I think that you'd have two powerful lines, which, let's face it, that was one of the Blues' biggest problems last year. They only had one line that could score.
Yeah. Yeah, the only thing I would be concerned with Tarasenko is, does Tarasenko move quicker than O'Reilly does? But again, that's on the rush. When more you set up in your offensive zone, you're fine. But on the rush, I'd be a little bit worried about O'Reilly falling behind with Tarasenko. But again, a lot of people make it out a bigger deal than it is. But I feel like I should mention that so people aren't surprised that if he struggles a little bit trying to keep up with Tarasenko, that's why.
I think Tarasenko's I think Tarasenko's the average speed. He's not fast. He's not slow.
Well, that's good. Yeah. Then he'll be, and that should be fine. Shouldn't be much of an issue.
It sounds like he's probably got about the same speed as O'Reilly, from what I can gather.
Yeah, and the thing with O'Reilly is too, if he's not playing a ton of minutes, he might be fresher at the end of the games than he was this year, where he was playing 25 to 27 minutes a night. With the Sabres, where I don't think he'll have to do that with St. Louis. So that'll probably have him fresher at the end of the games and not, kind of falling behind in rushes and stuff like that.
Awesome.
Well, hey, thank you very much for coming on, Chad. This has been a lot of fun having you on here talking about this. And make sure you go ahead and tell our listeners, if anyone's interested in hearing your podcast or reading your work, where can they find you?
Right now I write for Die by the Blade, the managing editor there. We have a great team of writers that covers the Sabres. So we're over at SB Nation Sabre site, so at Die by the Blade, and then diebytheblade.com is our website. And also Beyond the Blade is the podcast that I do with a buddy of mine, Bill. You basically can find us anywhere where a podcast is, I guess, produced or put up. So iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, all those places. So Spreaker. So wherever a podcast is, we're pretty much there.
You guys going to do a show post this trade?
Yeah, we are probably. The 4th of July is getting in the way, so probably Thursday or Friday. I was kind of seeing if Bottle did anything else. It doesn't appear like it yet. We'll see if tomorrow he posts something out, but probably Thursday or Friday.
Okay, cool. Well, hey, Chad, really appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much.
Anytime, guys. Good luck with O'Reilly, and I hope it works out for you guys. I really do. O'Reilly's a good guy, so I hope that kind of works out for you guys.
Thank you, Chad.
All right, see you.
That was Chad. I'm not going to find. How do you say? DeDominicis. That is not what you sent me earlier phonetically.
No, that's what he sent me, and okay. Yeah, definitely looks a lot different.
That's exactly where I got it.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So that was good. That was good. Some good info. Good, honest info.
Yeah, it sounds like. I guess my initial take after the interview is that problems were traded for problems.
Yeah. He definitely had a lot more negatives about O'Reilly than positives.
Well, I think a lot of people you saw a lot of people say that online, especially social media, about people saying basically the same thing we're saying about Berglund and Sobotka. Oh, someone took him. It's like, man, okay, all right. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
But honestly, from what it sounds like to me, and I'm not just trying to find positives here. Like, I really believe that. I think the Sabres needed, like he talked about, they needed bottom six help. Their bottom six was laughably bad from what I hear, not just from him, but other people. And the Blues needed a 1 or 2 center. So, yeah, you can talk about the problems these 3 guys have, but at least the problem that the Blues acquired, the positives from that problem are going to help this team more than it's going to help Buffalo, and vice versa, if that makes sense.
Right. From a hockey lineup perspective, both teams really seem to stand to benefit from this trade.
Yeah.
It's just, if there are personality issues, hopefully a change of scenery can help that. In the case of O'Reilly, and we don't know too much about Sobotka's personality or Berglund. Well, Berglund's seemed like the goofball, but
Berglund's more of a Bergevin kind of personality.
Yeah.
Without the throwing the puck in his own net aspect of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But give him time. Give him time.
Give him time.
So I guess we can do Today in Blues history. So 20 years ago today, 1998, St. Louis Blues signed Jeff Courtnall for 3 years on June 2nd, 1998, with help from his sons, who wrote a letter to Larry Plow, which if you follow the @STL Blues History Twitter account, which we get this information from, so please do follow him @STL Blues History. He's got the newspaper clipping, which he always seems to have, posted on, and it kind of mentioned talk about the signing of Jeff Courtnall, and at the end it mentions that Courtnall's sons, Justin and Adam, wrote Plow a letter recently imploring the Blues to sign their dad. Both boys play youth hockey in St. Louis, and Plow said he was going to frame the letter. So that's just kind of a cool story.
Was the that book that they released, was it 35 years when they had that giant book that came out?
No, it was the note by. It wasn't 35, was it? It was note by note. I have it here.
They actually have a copy. Bill's holding it up right now. There you go.
It's not 35. Is it 35? No,
it is 67 to 02, so 35.
35. You're right. Okay.
Don't doubt me, Curt. But there's actually a still of that letter in that book, I believe. I remember reading it, so it's really cool to see. I mean, you got to think as a GM getting that letter from a couple kids, that is actually pretty cool.
I have it right over there. It's too far for me to get, so I'm glad Bill has it. And mine's right next to my Blues cookbook.
I've got that right next to this too.
Really?
Oh, I got mine over here. I'm looking at it right now too.
Yeah, sure.
Did anybody ever try Larry Plow's wife's chili? It was delicious.
I don't think I ever actually made anything from it. I'll have to try it.
Adam Oates' was good. It was a macaroni and cheese chicken. He goes, make some Kraft macaroni and cheese, grill some chicken, cut up the chicken, put it together. We did take a nap.
That seems like a perfectly Adam Oates kind of thing to do.
Yeah, and I actually love macaroni and cheese chicken. That's quite good. 2015, July 2nd, 2015, TJ Oshie was traded to the Washington Capitals for Troy Brouwer. St. Louis Blues on July 2nd, 2015. So, and that trade happened the last time I went on vacation at the start of free agency. So,
now you were in Alabama, were you not?
Dolphin Island, yeah.
Yeah, I was actually at the Lake of the Ozarks for that one.
Were you?
Yeah.
I was at the Lake of the Ozarks for this one, for the O'Reilly signing. Which, well, let me tell you, the reception, the phone reception we get at the lake house down there is not good, and getting information is spotty. We brought in like a Wi-Fi hotspot, which was hey, great for a while, and then it stopped working for some reason. So it was, that was fun. I was actually around we were making s'mores around a fire pit, and my brother said, "Hey, look at this," and he shows me the phone. It says Blues trade for Ryan O'Reilly. I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" And so it just happened, and he's loading to see who we traded away to get him, and it was like agonizing. I'm like, "Oh God, is it Pareko? Is it Kyrou? Who is it? I don't know." And then I saw
you did kind of seem like you had just learned the news when I messaged you.
Well, and I guess it had been and you had messaged me. How long after it happened?
Oh, it wasn't long. It was maybe 30 minutes.
Yeah. See, I was still. Yeah, I probably found out about it maybe 15 minutes after it happened or something, maybe 20 minutes. But and then it came up that it was Sobotka, Berglund, and Thompson. And I literally raised my hands in the air. I said, yes! Everyone looks at me like, what? What's going on?
We did this last year with Shen. We told our reactions, so I'll go ahead and tell mine real quick because it was funny. So what happened, I'm finding out at the moment, anyone who was like me, you found out from Pierre LeBrun, O'Reilly's going to the Blues, but you didn't find out the return for probably 10 minutes after. And I'm getting texts from people. Oh my God, the Blues got O'Reilly. Who'd they get? People telling me to text Strickland, text this guy. No, I'm not going to. We're going to find out in 5 minutes. So, Curt, your old captain from one of the Ponder tournaments, Dustin Paul, calls me. Listener to the show, by the way. So, Dustin, thanks for listening. Dustin calls me, and he goes, oh my God, Sobotka and Berglund. And I'm like, what? Because I hadn't seen it yet. I'm still like refreshing Twitter like crazy. And he goes, they traded Sobotka, Berglund in a first rounder. And I'm like, that's it? And he goes, that's it. And I'm like, oh my God. And then, we find it. And then he's like, I guess he's listening to KMOX. And he's like, later. He's like, they got Thompson in a second round pick too. And I go, that makes a little more sense. And he goes, I just heard Sobotka and Berglund, and I just started screaming. I didn't hear anything else. And I'm like, yeah, that's how I would have been too.
Someone described it on, I forgot where I saw it on Twitter, I think. The trade was basically the trade you'd see proposed in a Blues fan forum by some stupid fan who wants to unload all of our junk for O'Reilly. We'll offer him Berglund, Sobotka, and we'll throw in Thompson, and a couple draft picks. And people are like, yeah, no one wants our shit.
Yeah, but now all those junk trade proposals have just gotten, substantiated, right? So we're going to hear, we have no hope of them going away. But yeah, my initial reaction was, I had no idea what was going on. I completely tuned out after like the Tavares signing. And I was watching more World Cup than I was following any of the hockey news. And then after NHL Network would not shut up about the John Tavares thing because, it's Toronto's the center of the hockey universe, I just kind of tuned it out. And then your guys' text came across. I'm like, I guess I should check out and see what's going on. And it was very similar to the Laterra thing. I was sitting in the basement on the couch when I found out the news, and I immediately yell upstairs, I love Doug Armstrong.
He has 2 years in a row. He's made a move that we've kind of loved. So, I mean.
Yeah. Now, the moves, both of those moves on their own were amazing moves. The problem that we have to remember, or the thing that we have to remember about them, and what I think a lot of us are recognizing here on day two. We're still ecstatic about the moves, but he's undoing the damage that he did.
I was just going to say that. It's like, yeah, hey, it's a great move. He corrected a mistake he made in the first place.
Yeah.
So
like I said, ecstatic that he got the moves pulled off. But you know what? We still have a problem between the pipes, and we still have Jay Bouwmeester. So.
Well, you know what? I think a lot of teams have at least one bad contract. So.
Yeah.
And he's in his last year, so there's that.
Right.
So.
And I think he's LTIR through the beginning of December at least.
Oh, is that long? Okay.
I thought that. Well, I haven't heard any updates, but I thought that's what they said immediately after the season, that they would expect him back early December. So there's that.
2007, still on the SL Blues history. Last one. Yeah, which. Paul,
the music will be fun for you.
Well, I may have to phase it out before the July 2nd, 2007. Paul Kariya signed as a free agent by the St. Louis Blues. Remember, at the time, people were ecstatic about this. I remember John Davidson being so happy, and I was happy about it. But turns out that Kariya was pretty much a shell of his former self.
And, Yeah,
he was overpaid. He was way overpaid here.
Yeah, the end of his career, collecting the paycheck based on his previous accomplishments, and
We paid
at least
accomplishments elsewhere.
Yeah. Well, at least he did contribute to that. Because at the time, Detroit was the juggernaut team, and then we go over to Sweden to start that season.
Yes.
And Korea was pretty instrumental in sweeping that 2-game series over there. So
that was a huge. I mean, because the Detroit hate was still huge in St. Louis at that time, and that was a big deal. I mean, to me anyway, that was a huge deal, beating them both overseas, and because we were Bill, you and me and Gibbons went the hideout, the hideaway.
Was it the dugout?
No, the dugout. Dugout's the Ozarks. The hut. The hut.
That's it. Yeah. So this is the launch of Versus. And nobody had Versus. We call around to find who has Versus. Hooters tells us they have it, and somebody gets there and they don't have it. So we find the one place, the one sports bar in the Metro East that carries Dish Network.
Yeah, because DirecTV didn't have they were not on Dish Network just DirecTV because of the channel boycott. So yeah, Dish Network was the only and all sports bars have DirecTV. Except for the hut in O'Fallon, was it?
Yes.
Fallon,
yes. Yeah.
And we went there, and there was nobody there. We had that was a good hamburger that I had there. I remember that.
It was a very good hamburger. I think there were a few people that were pissed off that they were missing afternoon NASCAR coverage, but that's a good memory for me. Paul Correa was central to it.
Yes. So since our last show last week, we talked at length about O'Reilly, but the Blues also made a few other moves. They signed, first they signed David Perron, which we can go through the timeline here. So basically, we're waiting for the free agency to start, and the Blues make their first move by signing David Perron. And so everyone, and I don't want to speak for everybody, but it was like, David Perron, all right, third stint with the Blues, 4 years, $16 million, slight pay bump from his previous contract, which is now $250K more as far as the cap hit goes. He does have a no trade clause, 5-team no trade clause. So, and then we signed Tyler Bozak, forward, 32-year-old, 3 years, $15 million. So everybody's like, Bozak, okay, well, shit. I guess we're out on O'Reilly. We talked about that with Chad, but and so at this point, you guys. After we've signed Perron and we've signed Bozak, most of Blues Twitter was kind of what's the word? Annoyed. Meh.
Burn down the enterprise. I believe that was what some people were insinuating.
Well, people are pissed off because all of the talk from Armstrong about we're going to go after some big names, we're going to upgrade, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to spend some money. Okay, great, awesome. And we're going to get better. And then it was more like lateral moves, and it just didn't really seem to make us much better. But and then of course came and then we signed Chad Johnson, which I know, Jeff, you were happy about this.
I know that Chad that was on earlier. It said that he's not a big fan of his, and maybe I'm just recalling the good moments that he had with Calgary that Bill mentioned. But I think as a backup goalie and a guy that, I'm reminded of Brian Elliott. I mean, let's remember this. When Elliott first came here, it wasn't to even play in the NHL. It was to challenge Ben Bishop, make Bishop better, and Elliott was going to start in Peoria. And obviously, we know how that turned out. It's not the way that the Blues were originally planning. And
Elliott became the best goaltender in Blues history.
That's true, and I am with you on that. But I'm not saying that's going to be Chad Johnson, but that's what he's here to do, I think. I really believe that it's, all right, Philly, we got this guy here who's going to challenge you for the backup role. Let's see what you got. And I like that. I like bringing in a guy who is, I mean, say what you want. I think he's a capable backup because at the end of the day, for me, I'm more concerned about what this is going to do for Ville Husso than what it's going to do for Jake Allen.
He's 1 year, $1.75 million. So he's not making very much. The problem I have with this is that I don't think, based on history, this is not good for Allen. I mean, if the goal is to make Allen better, based on the past, Allen has played better when he's been pushed for his starting job, when he's a 1A, 1B situation. We talked about this at length. And Chad Johnson's not that guy to play 35 games a year, right? I mean,
yep.
So I mean, I'm curious to see how this is going to work. Because I mean, it's one thing to say, okay, it's the team, it's the ownership showing confidence in Allen, saying, okay, last year was a bad year, we get it, but we know you can turn it around, and you can be the guy. I respect that to a certain point, but when Allen's had this history of needing a guy to come in and spell him for a couple of months, in the middle of the season, it's like, oh my God. So my only real concern now this season is Allen. And I think a lot of people will agree with that I think offensively we're much better. We're much more solid, in the center position, which we haven't been this deep in the center position in a long time. And so we should be on paper, better offensively, better on the power play, hopefully, my God. But so my only real concern is in between the pipes. So if Allen can turn it around, which I mean, based on his past numbers, I don't have faith in that, but hopefully he does. I don't know. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, as far as like Johnson not being the 1B guy and how that's going to affect Allen.
Yeah, I think best case scenario is that they don't need him, and Jake finally figures it out. And maybe the idea behind signing him is, we've tried the 1A, 1B, and we even, we said Carter Hutton, was more of a second line guy, but last year he was the 1A, 1B, and now you sign a guy of a lesser quality to send the message to Jake that you're the guy, right? This is your chance. If you don't get your shit together, this is it. And at the same time, you're not putting a lot of money into the backup goalie. I think the bottom line is the Blues are looking at it that if they can't rely on Jake Allen for an entire year, they're screwed anyway. So why put money into a backup goalie? If they have to, worst case scenario, they bring in Ville Husso to play. That would take a lot because we know that they don't want to do that. But
I think if Allen falters, like I think if Allen has a similar year this year, like he did last year, I think they got to make another move. I mean, they can't say they're a playoff team and say they got in the playoffs despite Allen's struggles, and say Allen's a problem. Just whatever fictitious scenario. That's not really that fictitious, I guess. So I mean, would you go to the playoffs with Allen and with Johnson, like maybe taking over the number one? I mean, it all depends how he plays. Or maybe Husso gets his shot if Johnson doesn't play very well, and then all of a sudden you're going into the playoffs with Husso. That's a really weird situation, and I don't think the team would do that. I think they'd probably make a move at some point.
I know that it's a different organization. Their philosophy's different, and I just don't see the Blues ever doing this personally. But look at what Pittsburgh did the year they won the Cup. Matt Murray was their starting goalie. He was a rookie going into the playoffs, and he won him a Cup.
Yeah, and
I'm not saying Husso's going to do that. I'm just saying that it has happened before and it's worked.
No,
Patrick Waugh, 86.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I think those. I mean, that's not. And I agree with you. I mean, that's a possibility. It may work, but I don't think it's something that the team would. It's not an ideal situation to.
No.
It's a big gamble. It'd be a big gamble, and it probably. And I mean, they're spending to the cap. So if you're spending about to the cap, and you've got a goaltender situation that's the way it is. I mean, if it's up in the air, that's kind of a problem. If you're spending to the cap and you're a playoff team. To me, so we'll see how it goes. Maybe, I mean, like I said, maybe Allen figures it out finally, hopefully. But we'll see. I think I'm just very curious and anxious. I want the season to start tomorrow because I want to see how this works out. Curious.
Well, have we had the obligatory Doug Armstrong's going on vacation, no more moves tweet?
Not as of yet. I don't believe.
Okay, so a lot of this talk could still be a little too preliminary, but I guess assuming that this is the goaltending setup that we're going to roll with, I think that it's a big if. I still I think that the Blues are going to be fighting for the playoffs. Obviously, we didn't make it last year. I think this year, the goal is to get back into the playoffs. And, if they don't do it, I think the goaltending is going to be a big part of the reason why they don't. And if we're on the bubble, come trade deadline, nothing else happens between here and the end of summer, then you're definitely looking at bringing somebody else in.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
I was just going to say, I think that there might still be, I mean, I don't know, there might be a change here in the summer because Doug Armstrong, somebody had said to him, something about, when are we going to see you next? And he said, maybe training camp, maybe tomorrow, So, I mean, he is insinuating there still might be a couple more changes this summer. So you don't know what's going to happen.
He's always played that way, though. He's always.
Yeah.
He never gives away anything.
No, he doesn't. And I appreciate that, actually. I think he doesn't show his hand and it allows him to get more out of trades. But, at the same time, I mean, I don't know. A lot of people are talking about Carlson possibly. I don't see the need for that unless you're completely wanting to shake up this entire roster.
That would change. This roster has already changed dramatically from last season.
Yeah, I agree. And so I don't know if that's something he's going to pursue. I don't think it would, honestly. But in terms of goaltending, I wouldn't be surprised if there was another move made.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
that's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, bring me Carey Price.
Oh my God! Oh my God, the contract.
Yeah, the contract's too bad. But so you said the Blues are spending to the cap, and we currently have $8.4 million projected cap space. So
right, that's true. And to touch on that point is that in the O'Reilly deal, we actually have more cap space than we did before the O'Reilly deal.
Yeah, it was about $800,000, right?
Yeah, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
So that's kind of awesome. And that was not discussed. That hey, that was a cap clearing move.
Yeah, there's a lot of Sabres. I saw a lot of Sabres fans saying, good luck with that O'Reilly contract, and I'm like, the Blues are saving money.
Yeah, right. Good luck with that Berglund contract. Good luck with that Sobotka contract.
Yep. Does Berglund have 4 years left or something? Is it
4 years?
Yeah.
He just signed the extension last year.
Yeah, which I cannot. I at the time I told my brother Greg, I was like, he showed me his phone and the tweet. I'm like, why would Buffalo do that? Why would they do this? Why?
We plan to suck for 4 years.
I think they honestly know we're not going to be a playoff team. We're still rebuilding. We're almost there, and we're not going to spend to the cap. So we can take these guys on and get some draft picks and a prospect out of it.
Overpay for your third and fourth liners. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I think. I could be wrong, but
that's great. I mean,
might as well if they can. They've got the money. The Paculas have told them, we'll spend whatever you want us to spend.
Well, basically what the Blues are doing is that when the Blues sign players, and then a year or two later when, oh my gosh, we got to move these guys, we have to find a team that wants to overpay to take on these overpaid third and fourth line players that we've signed. William Primo said, sadly can't blame Armstrong on the YouTube chat. Sadly, can't blame Armstrong for players he reached out to and got denied for, which that's you heard a lot of that. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, from the beginning of the summer, I never believed that the Blues had a shot at Tavares. They, I know the first interview that Jeff did this summer was with Andy Strickland, and that was one piece of information that he seemed a little too eager to share. Don't be surprised if the Blues don't make a bid for Tavares. It just seemed like, yeah, we're going to make an effort, but there was no way. I mean, with it, he's at the time he came into the league, he was considered a generational talent, and he is one of the top 5 players in the league. Landing him here on a free agent deal when Toronto's got the money to spend was never going to happen. But I guess kudos for effort, and maybe that takes enough attention off the Blues making these other deals that or expectations of other deals that Armstrong can fly under the radar and make this kind of O'Reilly deal.
The William Primo also said, Dangle Snipe, Sully in the house. What are the chances both Kyrou and Thomas make the roster?
Very little.
Yeah, I think Thomas makes the. I
think Thomas has already made the roster. I mean, he's got to completely blow it in training camp to not get a spot.
I agree, but I think I don't know if there's room for Kyrou right now. I think you might see him at some point.
Yeah,
but I don't think out of camp. Maybe I don't think that's going to happen.
The only way you will is if Soshkinov is hurt to start the year, which is probably going to be the case.
He might get a good point.
Yeah.
And if Soshnikov is the guy that needs to go down for Kyrou to get playing time, then he might get substantial playing time this season.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, so what's Kyrou? Is Kyrou is he going back to juniors if he's not here? So do we have the 7-game before he's burns a year of his eligibility, or burns an RFA year?
Is he not AHL eligible now?
I thought he was gonna. I thought they were both going to be AHL eligible this year.
I'm pretty sure. Could be wrong on that.
He was with the Sting the last 2 seasons. Chicago Wolves. He was with the Wolves.
That's right. He didn't come up.
Yeah. So he's AHL eligible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't have that to worry about, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just I think the Blues dedicate one spot to a rookie. That's what Tage Thompson got last year, and that's going to be Thomas's.
Yeah, the only way you'll see it is if there's an injury. Hopefully Fabry's good to go. They say he is, but that would be a spot. Obviously, if something does happen again, you'd want to get another scorer in there, and I think that would be a good spot for Kyrou. And then I think Soshkinov, if he goes down, I think either way, no matter who it is, I think your first call up is going to be Kyrou. They know they got to start getting these kids some NHL time, as much as they don't like playing the kids.
Andrew Owens on the YouTube chat, on the show chat, says, after yesterday, do the Blues have the best center depth in the Central?
No, Nashville.
Yeah, I agree. Behind them,
it's close, man.
Probably.
I think it's close. But yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
because Spezza's gone.
Well, Spezza's was never anything spectacular with Dallas. But it would have been Spezza. Sagan was probably number 2 behind them, and that's not the case anymore.
Colorado's got McKinnon, Landeskog.
Landeskog's not a center; it's McKinnon and.
I thought. Yeah.
Who is it?
Landeskog was.
I think he's a left wing, isn't he?
Yeah. I'm looking at the. Nashville's center is pretty good. Forsberg, Johansson,
Jost, Kamenev, Kerfoot, McKinnon, Soderberg, Colin Wilson. Their centers.
Yeah.
But you know what?
I like the Blues centers a lot better than that.
I do too.
I like the Blues a lot better. This is the best center depth we've had in a long time.
So then, what's Minnesota? It's Koivu and
Stahl.
Stahl. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a good question.
I like our. I mean, it's as far as like the best we've had. It's been a long time since we've been this. I've been starting the season this deep. I like it. I mean, we still don't have that true number one center. It's more like we have two really good second line centers. But
right. I think a point that I had made during the when O'Reilly was rumored to the Blues was that would be a very Blues kind of trade to bring in a guy who's paid like a number one center, but's more a number two.
Yeah.
So,
it is. It's a Blues thing, but hey, you know what? It's again, it's a problem I think they are willing to accept at this point.
And really, at this point, that was their best option.
Yeah,
right.
It was.
Given the context of the trade, it is a good trade.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was their best player that was available to get, and they got him. And they also unloaded 2 contracts that they didn't want anymore, which fans have been, crabbing about that all season. So in the past number of years for Berglund. So if people will say, who won this trade, Sabres or the Blues? I mean, right now I think the Blues won this trade hands down. Now it really depends on who the first and second round picks turn out to be, and who knows what's going to happen there. But as far as like the knowns right now, I don't see how you say the Blues lose this trade. I think the Blues have won this trade easily, myself personally.
Right.
I think right now for sure. I agree.
Right now for sure. I mean, unless you say that, okay, well, Buffalo, their priority was to upgrade the third and fourth line. Well, they did that. So I mean, but I think as far as like the Blues are a better team and they made their team better, I think that they won this. They won this.
I think we're gonna look at this trade in the future, how we look at the Erik Johnson, Kevin Shattenkirk trade. Because when that trade first happened, I remember us doing a show and talking about how the Blues stole that trade, and everyone thought they did too. But now looking back, it was a pretty even trade. Well, it turned out to be pretty even, and I think it's going to be the same case with this in about 5 years.
I think it was pretty even because Chris Stewart. Initially he was fantastic for us, and then for whatever reason he stopped wanting to play hockey.
Yep,
just didn't play anymore.
And Erik Johnson turned out to be, not a number one per se, but turned out to be a decent defenseman for Colorado.
Right. So,
so I want to get a couple tweets here. I know that Bill. Sorry, did you want to say something?
I was just gonna say. I can't remember what I was gonna say now. Thanks.
Sorry, buddy.
Oh, it was what happened to all those assets. It seemed like we did win the trade, but at this point, we have nothing left to show for it other than Curtis Sanford.
Oh man,
Curtis Sanford.
I'm not Curtis Sanford. Zach.
That was Oshie.
Oh, was that Oshie?
That was the Oshie trade.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I don't know. It's late. Cut the show out.
Oshie was Brouwer and Copeland.
Right. Yeah, no. So it was Zach Sanford was in the Shattenkirk trade. He was the guy that we got.
Oh, you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
not the Erik Johnson trade.
I thought you meant the original. Okay, I was confused.
Yeah, no. The Erik Johnson for Shattenkirk and Stewart trade. It felt like we won it, and we churned Chris Stewart into some assets for a while, but all we've got left is Zach Sanford. I said Curtis.
Chris Stewart is one of my most hated Blues players of all time. Maybe second behind Brewer. Maybe. I couldn't stand that guy.
One of my claims, I remember I wrote an article on letsgoblues.com his first full year, and one of my claims was that he was going to be a 40-goal scorer. That didn't work out.
A scout is not in your future.
Nope.
Position.
So I want to get to a couple tweets because I know we want to open this up, and we don't want to only open up for maybe 10 minutes. So let's get to a couple tweets, and then I don't know if you guys are cool with just going ahead and letting anybody in who wants to talk with us about the big day yesterday. But first of all, we got from Bob Rakowski, also says, why not Binnington? I'm with you. For those who don't know, that is a common theme with this show. So why not Bennington? Bluesrants.com asks us, who was your... I think he's talking about me when I said I wanted to see O'Reilly and Tarasenko together. He says, who is your left wing? Perron with O'Reilly and Senko? You know what I want to see? And I think Armstrong even said this, actually. I'd love to see O'Reilly on the wing with Thomas and Tarasenko. I think that would be an interesting line. But, again, knowing what we know, the Blues aren't going to be putting Robert Thomas with their number one scorer. That's just not going to happen.
Right, or starting him as a center in his rookie year.
Yep. And then Adam Gold, friend of the show, at Win Unlimited, says, I can dust off my Ocho Cinco jersey. So keep that in mind for Chad Johnson. And then Bob Rakowski tweets us again and says, even strength, they are definitely better. I'm still concerned about the power play. And I think we all are, because at this point, they keep getting these power play players, but the strategy for the power play isn't changing. And that comes on coaching. So we'll see what happens in training camp if anything changes.
Agreed.
Bring out the link.
Okay, so we're opening it up to you now, folks. If you want to join us, go to letsgoblues.com/radio or jump on Twitter. Curt is tweeting it out now.
I tweeted out the link on the @LGBRadio Twitter account, so the link is there to join us live. You can also go to letsgoblues.com/radio, and if you're already there, refresh the screen. Well, you wouldn't be there right now, I guess, but if you are, refresh the screen, and the link will be there to join. So,
yeah. So while we're waiting for more tweets or joiners, your guys' take on the return of David Perron. So
when it first happened, I had a hockey game at 9:50 in the morning yesterday, and he signs. I mean, the announcement came out pretty early in the morning. I have never seen my locker room so negative. It was like yes, a couple of us were hungover, but it was like the whole team was hungover, and everybody became a deaf mute. I mean, nobody wanted to talk. We were all upset. It just wasn't the optics of it were awful, because it's just, oh my God, this is the big move. And then when the game ended, the news came out that Bozak was signed, and we were like, oh my God, this is the big summer. And it put us all in an awful mood. And I mean, I know, Curt, I want to get your take too, and Bill, you too, but the whole day, I mean, I haven't been this way. I don't let the Blues affect my life as much as I used to. I was upset all Sunday. I'm thinking, oh my God, this is it. This is what this team's going to be next year. How am I going to, because honestly, you want to know what I was thinking? How am I going to do a podcast every week watching this team? And that was my biggest concern. But then the O'Reilly trade, it changed everything for me. And even now with the Perron thing, I'm like, he's got a different cast of characters to play with. Maybe it's going to work out.
Oh, the O'Reilly thing put everything else into perspective. It was like, okay, all right, okay, so everything shifts down a line now. Everything is just made. I mean, not that signing Perron's the best thing in the world, or not that Bozak is some kind of world beater, but it just makes everything make a little more sense than it did before, because it's like, oh, this is it, like you said. So, Braden has joined us on the show.
Braden Shen by chance?
Yes.
I freaking wish.
Thanks for joining us, Braden.
How y'all doing tonight?
Pretty good.
What are your thoughts this evening on the Blues moves?
For me, I'm still kind of taking it all in. Very happy to see Berglund and Sobotka gone. I feel like those are two guys that we've all been kind of feeling for a while now that we didn't want to be there. And for me, it really opens up a new fresh wave for us to get some of the new guys in and get some of those old core guys out, really. So I'm just excited about that.
Yeah, and like you said, I'm not sure what I'm more excited about: the fact that we got O'Reilly and upgraded our centers substantially, or we got rid of Sobotka and Berglund. I'm really excited about both of those things equally. Almost, it's kind of strange.
Yeah, it's odd because like for me, I'm only 20 years old, so I've been a Blues fan all my life, and now I just really feel like I don't want to say it's been a big rebuild because it's not at all. It's not a rebuild whatsoever. But it's definitely, you have a fresh new team now because you got rid of Berglund and Sobotka that were guys that we've had for a while now. You just got Sobotka back, 2 years ago? He came in at the end of the season, played that one game, and then last year was his first full season back. But I do think they can take a new step in the right direction now with some new faces in there and allow some of the young guns to really come in and just, change the future of the program a little bit.
Yeah, I think getting some new voices in the locker room is something we're kind of overlooking too. I mean, not saying that Sobotka and Berglund were toxic by any means, but just getting some new voices, some new faces in there. I mean, Stastny had a couple lines that he said when he was here that the locker room just was not a functional locker room. So getting some new voices in there, I think could be positive for this team in the long run.
You said you were 20 years old, Braden?
Yes, sir.
So you were born in 98-ish?
Yes.
Okay, so it's like 1 or 2 years after the Yzerman double overtime goal?
Oh, God. Unfortunately, yeah. For me, growing up, so, I'm from Indiana, so hockey isn't too popular here. Somehow my dad, got me into hockey. And I've only watched replays of stuff, and, man, it hurts. It hurts. No one...
Good thing you were only like you were probably good thing you couldn't remember that because most traumatic times. Is that a Chicago banner to your left?
It's a shirt too.
Yeah. So we are we're a weird breed. We're Cubs fans and Blues fans. It's the weirdest thing in the world, but that's somehow it is. I don't know why.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on. We're like, I'm a Lakers basketball fan. I'm a Cubs baseball fan, like the Blues for hockey. So I don't understand how it happened, but it did.
Wow. So you're pretty stoked about the LeBron signing then, right?
Oh, don't even get me started. I was at the gym and had to control myself from not screaming like a little girl. So, we kept it all in though. And then, so we'll see if they can make a couple more moves, but I think next year is when they sign some guys to help LeBron out.
Did you have a reaction like we had when the O'Reilly's trade was announced?
Honestly, it all happened at the same time because I was at the gym and my dad texted me and said LeBron's a Laker now, and I was like, oh, he's pulling my leg, and because we'd been texting back and forth, just pissed off about the Blues moves all day. We're like, oh, they're just bringing back more third liners. Like, we're not going to be happy with this. Another mediocre season. This is trash, and we were not happy. And he texted me, LeBron's a Laker. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Well, but as I get on Twitter to see, the news about LeBron, I see Ryan O'Reilly is a Blue. I'm like, what?
Wow.
And so I immediately call him. I'm like, yo, the Blues got O'Reilly. He's like, no way. And I said, let me get you the details. And as I'm reading them out loud, like we find out LeBron signing also and everything. And like we're all reacting to this at the same time. And I'm happy no one follows my Twitter account because they was just blowing everything up. It was a bad time for them.
Man, you were probably thinking, man, what are the Cubs going to get Machado now?
At that point, I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen with I don't know. I have no idea.
See, I thought I was on cloud nine. I was eating s'mores, and when I heard the news, but you had a LeBron signing.
Yeah, no.
So.
I was at the gym, just picked up a pizza, and like my life was. I mean, it was. I think if you can go above cloud 9, it was above cloud 9.
I think cloud 10 is that.
I would assume so. I think it's all the numbers go.
I wonder why. I don't know why it's just 9. Why is that the highest? Cloud 9.
That's a good question. I always kind of wondered that.
I have never wondered until now. I assume I just took for granted cloud 9, of course.
Someone just decided one day that that's what we're gonna go with, I guess.
We just got a tweet from Adam Gold again at Win Unlimited. Who is more likely to play in the NHL this season, Jágr or Slava Voinov?
Didn't Jágr pretty much say he's done?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think he does want to come back, but I don't think anyone's taking him. So I guess the more likely response is Voinov, but I mean, that can't happen, right? Especially with everything going on right now in the Me Too movement.
How about Jágr, Voinov, or Chelios? How about those three?
Oh man, crazier things have happened, I guess.
We've got another listener who is unknown.
Now that would be Bruce's the cat.
Is it? Okay.
It is.
It shows unknown to me. And
why? I don't know. He's muted right now. I don't know if he muted himself, but Bruce is the cat. Thanks for joining us. Good to see you.
And he is not there. Braden. Okay, the other deals, like you said, Perron and Bozak, not. I think I tweeted out, these moves don't blow our skirt up. Let's do something else. So initially, the Perron deal. What's your take on Perron, first off?
Okay, my thing with Perron, so he had a career year last year in Vegas, right? Okay, that's what I thought. My thing with Perron is I think he can bring some talent. I think he'll put up some goals, but I don't expect him to have another career year or anything like that. Probably, his average year that he'll have again this year in St. Louis. The deal with that 4x4, I liked that. I don't think you're paying too much for that, really. I don't know if you all agree with that or not. But I don't think they're giving him too much or too little. I think that's just about where they should be paying for him. With me for Perron though, he was always, with me growing up, he was one of the first players that I knew about, and I've always just kind of liked him because that's just one of the he was from those teams. I don't really know the years exactly, but the teams that that would get knocked out first year of the playoffs, first round of playoffs every year, and so yeah. I mean, there's so many teams to pick from, but I'm just thinking the year they got knocked out, the Kings first round, Hawks first round, all those years, those were years when I really got into hockey finally. And so I was a big Perron fan around that time. And then whenever they actually gave him up and, allowed him to go to Vegas, I wasn't too happy with that move considering they just brought him back that year. And he was always a big, my dad liked him a lot also. So I don't know, the players that my family likes is kind of the players that I always like too. So I thought that was a good signing bringing him back. Obviously, if someone's going to have this is his third stint in St. Louis now?
Yep, third.
So, if you're going to come back 3 times, obviously this is a player that wants to play for the city and wants to win for the city. So, I like that move. I think he adds some veteran talent also. Plus, it's now someone that has how much did he play in the playoffs this past season?
13 games, 15 games, something like that.
I think it was 15 games.
Maybe
his playoff numbers aren't that good. I'll say that. I think I saw a stat yesterday. I don't know who tweeted it out, but it showed his playoff numbers aren't the greatest. But he does have someone who's been to the Stanley Cup final now. Been through some games, which does help. He's been hopefully around the locker room, around the players that have made a deep run. So I would say that probably helps adding to the depth of the team. And overall, the 4x4 deal wasn't bad.
Maybe he's got to figure it out because the in 16-17 with the Blues, he played in 11 playoff games, had 1 assist. That's awful. But last year, 15 games, 9 points. So
that's not bad. That's an improvement.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, this playoff thing, I get it now. I finally got it. And he did have 5 points in 9 games with the Blues in 11-12. So, 10 minutes in 9 games, so that's not bad.
Braden just touched on something that I think people are kind of overlooking. For a couple days there, about a week, we kept saying, Tavares doesn't want to come here, Panarin doesn't want to come here, and people have been talking about how Stanton didn't want to come here for the Cardinals, and everybody was down saying, what are we going to do? We're starting to become the Edmonton. Nobody wants to come here. And I do think it is refreshing if you want to find a positive with the Perron signing, other than if you're a fan of his play on the ice. He wants to play in St. Louis. It's obvious. He likes the fans here. Obviously has to like the organization to keep coming back. So that's a positive here that you got a guy that wants to play in St. Louis.
Yeah. No, and I think I've always liked Perron for a weird reason. He frustrates the heck out of me with his offensive zone.
Yeah.
He's a little better player than he needs to be as far as like his shenanigans around the net goes. I like the instigator stuff that he kind of pulls into the situation, but in terms of draw penalties, I appreciate. But I think he takes a few too many penalties, but I don't know what it is about him. I kind of like him.
I like him.
I mean, I'm not crazy about the guy, but I kind of like him. I don't know why. I can't tell you why exactly, but I kind of do. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it.
I think Braden kind of hit on it too. I think it's that he was one of the kids to come up from that.
Yep.
I mean, for us, just the awful 05, 06, 07 years. He came up. He was drafted number 26 overall, and made the team the next year. You know, you heard the funny stories about him wearing the white skates around Andy Murray.
Good for him wearing the white skates.
Yeah, it just kind of became he became endearing for Blues fans, and I think that's why so many people still have a soft spot for him. I do too. I'm with you. The offensive zone penalties drive me absolutely bonkers, but there is a part of me that's like, I like David Perron. He's a good player. He seems like a good dude. I think he had some issues, maybe locker room issues, his first time here, but I think he's grown up a lot from what I can tell, and that's definitely a positive for this team going forward.
Right. When he first came up, he was back. He had only played, high levels of hockey for a couple of seasons. Like, he was a very late bloomer. So he didn't have that, that lifelong what it takes to be a good locker room guy experience. And, now what? We're 11 years into his career? Are we that far into it now?
Something like that.
We've watched him.
Yes.
Yeah, we've watched him grow up, and he's really matured as a player. I think he still has a lot to, he hasn't figured it all out. I think, like you said, he may be figuring out the playoffs thing, but this Blues team right now, their goal is to get back to the playoffs. It's not to win in the playoffs right away. I think we took a big, a step backwards last year, and having him on this team is going to help us get back there.
He's hit 20 goals 3 times in his career. Hasn't hit 20 goals in a while. He's getting close a couple times. Man, it'd be nice if he could hit that 20 mark. That'd be a nice little milestone for him to justify, the $4 million per year.
So we got a question here, and I'll start with Braden since he's our guest. Bluesrants.com sends us a tweet. How does the leadership group look to you guys in 2018, 2019?
So you talking about, C and then assist or alternates? Or
yeah, all just kind of your overall impression of the veterans in the room and who's wearing the C's and the A's, I guess.
So still obviously Pietrangelo with the C. I don't see them taking away that or anything.
Nope.
And then who do we we're in the A right now? What,
Steen
Tarasenko?
Steen and Tarasenko. Yep.
For me, this is kind of off the topic. I still think losing Bozak hurts a bunch because there were times last season where I was like, give Bozak the freaking C for Christ's sake. Because, I mean, really, I feel like he was a big leader on the team who held a lot down, knew what to talk to the guys about. I feel like he was huge. So losing him sucks. But bringing in Bozak, who's a veteran, I think he's going to be a guy in the locker room that helps out a bunch. And then also, I've been reading a lot about O'Reilly. I've heard, he's, despite his past, I've heard some things about him, how he's, a great role model for young players. And with them probably bringing up, guys like Thomas or Kyrou possibly, I think, that's a great thing for them to have, is to have O'Reilly in the team, which is going to be a leader for him. So I don't think they change up the C's or the A's at all, but I definitely think by adding a few pieces such as Bozak and O'Reilly, it helps with a veteran group of being able to lead the young guys.
Yeah, I don't think they change the C's and A's either. I think I don't know how you can't take the C away from Pietrangelo right now. You can't. Tarasenko and Steen are going to have the A's. I don't think you can take those away either. And from what I've heard about O'Reilly, I've heard mixed things with him from fans. Not that fans would even know how a player is in the locker room, but and how good of a leader a player is necessarily. But I've heard a lot of things about him being a good leader from people in the know. So and O'Reilly wants to win, and that's obvious by his comments at the end of the season when he was clearing his locker out in Buffalo, how he said that he lost the passion for the game because the team was just bad. It was a bad team. And he was so excited to come here and play for the Blues, a team that wants to win and is trying to better themselves and get back in the playoffs and challenge for a cup. So I mean, he wants to win, and I think that hopefully is comes across in the locker room, and as far as the leadership role goes, to motivate those in the locker room that may need some motivation, if anybody does, as far as seeing a veteran guy who wants to win and putting the work in to win. Now, I know we talked with Chad earlier about how O'Reilly might disappear for a while and be streaky. So, I mean, and to be honest, and we talked about, what's her name from Philadelphia, Jeff? Forgot her name.
Steph Driver.
Yeah, she made a comment, and I thought, you know what? That's true. Completely true. She goes, we were talking about people, streaky players. Oh, so-and-so streaky. And she was like, every player is streaky. I'm like, you know what? Son of a bitch. Almost every player is streaky. So, I mean, we'll see how streaky O'Reilly is in this system and on this team. But I think based on what I've heard enough positive things about his leadership capabilities to make me optimistic about how that's going to play out for him on this team.
So we got another tweet, which I think is it was a response to the leadership group. Sarah says, I guess the leadership group is epic. Another reason I bring that up is I looked at her profile after she responded. It says she likes long walks on Coruscant. So Sarah, you're my kind of woman if you're listening. I like that reference.
Nice.
Well, guys, I appreciate y'all having me on, but my phone is about to die here. So, look forward to listening to the future, and I appreciate you all listening to my comments.
Of course, man. Do you want to give out your Twitter handle or Facebook or anything? You don't have to.
Twitter, you can find me at Braden Schroeder. I'm a follower of the podcast, so you can always just look me up on there somehow.
Thanks for listening. Appreciate it.
All right. Appreciate it, guys. Have a good night.
Yep, you too. Thanks.
Thanks.
So wait a minute. I forgot to ask him. He said he was 20, lives in Indiana. When he turns 21, he could get us Yingling and drive it down here.
Yeah, he very well could. I thought they stopped at Ohio, but they go to Indiana.
Yes, drive into Indiana, right across the border in Terre Haute, and there are billboards everywhere.
That's so
now
weird.
Available in Indiana.
Okay, that's so weird how beer works that way. You've seen Smoking the Bandit, right? How was it? Coors. It was Coors. They had to ship across state lines.
Yep.
Yeah, a long way to go and a short time to get there. Yeah, so they couldn't ship. They didn't sell Coors in a certain state, and they had to ship it across illegally. It's so weird.
Wasn't it Georgia?
It might have been.
They have to go to Texas to Georgia.
I'm sure it was the southern states. Yes, southern states are so weird about stuff in general.
Yep. Anybody left in free agency that you guys are keeping your eyes on?
Maroon is still out there.
Is that somebody you want?
I don't know. It depends on what we give up for him. You
mean what we pay for him?
Oh yeah, right. It depends what he signs for. I don't know. I mean, I don't think we need him, and I think if we were to get him, it'd be just because he's from the area. I don't think we need that.
It fills the haven't had local talent since Cam Jansen.
Jeff, my cousin and Bill's friend Jeff, he played hockey against Maroon, and said he's a big old jerk.
I played against him, and I had no problems with him. But I also played against him when he was already in the NHL.
Okay.
It was a summer league, so I imagine he knew then he had to tame it down for publicity reasons.
Yeah, so players that are still out there and available. Rick Nash.
Would he? Is he gonna?
He's gonna cost too much money.
But is he gonna even want to play?
Right, he's talking about taking the next year off because he's worried about concussions. The next guy on the list, and this is all from Cap Friendly, is a guy that the Blues supposedly had conversation with, and I'm glad that's as far as it went. Kari Lettman.
Oh no! When I saw Rutherford tweet that, I thought, my God.
Didn't Armstrong? Who tweeted that? I saw that too.
Rutherford tweeted it.
Yes, that's right. I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Letting them in. We don't want letting them in.
Yeah. No, thank you. Toby Enstrom. He is. We don't need him because we have all the left-handed D spots taken care of for the most part. But he's serviceable, shifty veteran defenseman, undersized. Brooks Orpik, who was bought out. Get him cheap. Again, don't need him.
If you're going to go defense,
Paul Martin's on this list. I mean, there's a lot of old left-handed shooting defensemen, and we've got that in spades.
Yeah, I don't think we need that.
If you're going to go defense, the only one that I'm somewhat interested in is Luke Schenn, which I know that's what all Blues fans are saying right now, but he's really the only one that kind of gets me a little excited. Everyone else just, nah, I'll pass.
Yeah, I mean, to fill in that third right D spot and take it away from Bortuzzo.
Yeah, and I think that should be something the Blues should look into.
Right, so the two places I think the Blues could upgrade are goaltending and that last D spot. And it never hurts to bring in another scoring winger, but there aren't too many of them out there. I'd rather give that time to a young kid. No, thank you on Pat Maroon.
Yeah, but unless they're going to move Allen, they're done with goaltending.
Yep.
And they're not going to just sign Johnson. So.
Yeah.
On that right-handed.
There's always hope.
I'm with you.
That last D spot too could be filled by
Matt Dumbo, right?
No, Mitch Ranke or the kid that they signed earlier this summer, Mikola, is that his name? I know they're excited about him. So, I mean, they might be looking to fill that from within. But again, the ongoing trend with this show has been, will they play with the kids anyway?
What's wrong? Dumba's available, isn't he? Yeah, he's still a free agent.
Is he unrestricted? He's an RFA, isn't he?
He's RFA.
He's RFA. You're right. Sorry. He is RFA.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wouldn't sign him unless he'd switch back to 55 anyway.
Well, then what's Perk going to do?
There's your answer. I wouldn't sign him.
All right. Stempniak.
No. Where's Brad Winchester? Get him too.
Oh, man. Stempniak had 30 points 2 years ago with Hurricanes.
Yeah, but at this point, he's a third-line player. Blues have got those in spades.
Yeah.
Yeah, Patrick Maroon's like the 30th ranked guy. I guess this is by salary that they made last year. So, Joel Ward's 37. He's an unrestricted free agent. Seems like the kind of guy the Blues would go after. Overpriced, older, third or fourth line guy. Please don't. There's nothing that's really great out there that's left.
So we're looking at trades if there's anything that's going to happen.
Yep.
I would say Joel Ward's probably the type of player, and if not the Blues, somewhere. He's a PTO guy. I think. What is this?
Is your dog loose again?
No. It was the chair.
All right.
We're
just not going to address this?
No, it's the elephant in the room.
No, I think he's a PTO guy. I think you're going to hear his name thrown around a lot when training camp starts. I don't see him getting a contract before then.
Hey. Chris Stewart's available.
Nope.
Yeah. Wow. Antoine Vermette, free agent. Pretty cheap. Again, don't need him. Our depth at center.
No, I'm fine with them staying pat in terms of free agent forwards, but except for maybe Maroon, he's the only one I would consider because it'd be nice to get a little bit more size. But I'm not. If they don't go after him, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with the way it looks. But yeah, if there's anything available via trade to where you're not going to lose any of those 3 prospects, then got to at least look that direction because you could always use more scoring on this team.
Mm-hmm. All right, where are we here on the show? We're
still going.
And yeah, I think I mean, any other tweets to look at? You think anyone go? Oh, really good. Just some tweets, don't we?
Bluesrants.com says, quote, "It's the chair" with a laughing emoji.
That's what I thought it was too.
Yeah. I could probably get it to. Yeah, whatever.
Okay. Mr. Blues Hat just tweeted out, what about getting rid of Steen's contract? Any interest with that? So I think I mentioned on Twitter to somebody that of all the quote bad contracts this team had, personally, I thought Steen's was the least bad. I mean, he makes a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, but I think he does bring a lot to the table that the other players didn't. But as far as getting rid of his contract, man, I guess it depends on what we get.
I mean, if you can, then yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I think the contracts we had that were bad, I think the 2 I wanted to see go the most were the 2 that left.
Yeah.
And then followed by Bouwmeester and then Steen.
No, I agree. I think Steen's still a serviceable player.
That's what I'm saying.
He's still an NHL player on 31 NHL teams.
He's overpaid.
It's just he's overpaid and he was overused a lot last year. But with the deals made this summer and with Fabry coming back, you have to hope he's not going to be used as much.
Yeah, and there were rumors out there that he was offered to Winnipeg at the same time as Stastny and turned it down. If he's not going to go to Winnipeg, where he grew up when his dad played there, where's he going to go?
Yeah,
Arizona? Probably not going to happen.
Yeah, he's staying put.
Yeah.
Bob Rutkowski tweeted us. You think anyone goes into arbitration for the Blues? Hope not. How do you predict that? I mean, well, they got Edmondson. They got who's RFAs?
Well, and it's who's arbitration eligible at this point too.
That's true.
I mean, honestly, like you said, it's hard to predict. I really don't see arbitration. Really doesn't happen as much as it used to. I don't really see anybody going in arbitration. Honestly,
you always hear about it almost going, and
yeah,
they always settle up right before if it gets close.
Mr. Blues had followed up with what he said but as far as wiping the slate clean on the old quote core guys, so he's just kind of saying let's move on from the old core, which I think we can kind of agree with. And then still fire Matheny, who is at Blue Note backer. He says, I'm interested in it.
He changes his name often. I forget who it is. Like, oh.
That's Sean. I don't remember Sean's last name.
Right. I know the Twitter at Blue Note backer, but he changes the display name. I'm like, who is that?
He's a Banty Rooster. He's not a fan of Mike Matheny, apparently.
Been around a while. Anything else?
I think
let's see. What about? Okay, let's see. Oh, Mr. Blues Head on YouTube says Perron is effervescent.
Look at this smart guy.
What about Stastny? Oh, about him leaving. Oh, St. Louis. Oh, okay. What does that mean?
I don't know.
I don't know. So talk about a couple of Blues guys, former Blues guys, getting paid in Vegas. What about Ryan Reeves? Ryan Reeves got paid $2.75 for 2 years, $5.5 million.
That's a lot of money.
congrats, Ryan Reeves. That is a hell of a deal, buddy.
I know that they have a ton of cap space, but whoa, jeez.
Yeah, that's. I was wanting him back, but not for that price.
No.
I mean, I don't want to say I wanted him back. If he would have come back, I wouldn't have been opposed to it. But at that price, yeah, no way.
Half that money.
But no, good for him though. I mean, I in terms of guys, he's a wonderful guy and great for the community. I think he'll do well in Vegas. They seem to really love him there, and good for him getting that price. But I'm just glad the Blues didn't pay it.
From the impression I got was that the fans and the ownership group or the coaching staff didn't seem to appreciate him the way that he was here. That's the impression I got, at least for a while, because he was a healthy scratch for I mean, he was here too every once in a while, but I'm surprised that he re-signed there for that much money, based on what rumblings I heard from fans and things, but which doesn't mean a whole lot. But good for him. I wouldn't pay it.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah. That says Edmondson is arbitration eligible. That one might go.
I hope not.
I'll bet you a milkshake, Mr. Blues Hat, that does not. I'll bet you a Bud Light Orange that the Edmondson does not go to arbitration.
It's the chair, guys. I swear.
Guy, my God, it's not me. You know what? I want that to be. What the hell?
Sorry, I'm cracking myself up over here.
You gotta.
Jeff's got the fart machine going.
He's got a whoopee cushion. He should be sleeping. And Mr. Bozak says, hell no. I'm assuming the hell no is the Bud Light Orange, not the milkshake.
You can tell we are getting tired when we start playing fart sound effects.
I'll tell you what, Mr. Blues Hat. I'll tell you what. If Edmondson goes just for fun, if Edmondson goes to arbitration, next Blues whatever event thing that we're at together, which happens once in a blue moon, if he goes to arbitration, I'll buy you a beer. If it doesn't, you buy me one. That'll be the deal.
I like it.
And you can. It doesn't have to be Bud Light Orange. You can have whatever you want.
Or a blue moon, since you mentioned it.
A blue moon, yeah, blue moon's fine.
I like Bob Rakowski just tweeted us. He says Jeff Ponder is effervescent. Thank you.
What does that even mean? Effervescent.
Bubbly.
Yeah, bubbly.
I know what it means, but is it really? You're bubbly? Okay.
Vivacious.
Mr. Blues Hat, done. Okay, good. We got a beer bet. Cool.
Awesome. Sounds good to me.
So no arbitration for Edmondson. That's the.
Yeah, I guess that's the next thing to watch this summer. Make sure that doesn't happen.
Most exciting thing.
Ooh. Oh man, an arbitration. Just thinking about arbitration makes me nervous. I mean, it's literally a guy going in and saying, "This is why you need to pay me," and then the team saying, "This is why we don't want to pay you."
Yep.
It's just, that is a bad situation.
And like I said, every time it's though, I can't remember the last time it actually went. Was it Schwartz? Did Schwartz go?
I don't think he went. I think they were close and they didn't go.
Twice? I thought the first time they went.
Maybe they did. I don't remember.
Yeah, I forgot. But it's been at any rate, it doesn't happen that often.
Bob Rakowski says effervescent means it's not the chair.
I see. I'm a little slow.
I got where he was going with that. Bubbly, like you're fizzy.
Yeah.
I get it.
All right. Okay.
Sobotka. That's right. He's right. Sobotka went to arbitration.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
That's from Mr. Blues Hat. Thank you, Mr. Blues Hat. You big jerk.
Real-time fact checker.
Yeah, our intern.
He'll love that.
Oh, someone said, Mr. Blue said on the YouTube chat, why is he going back and forth?
Yeah, wait, what? Is he watching? What? What is going on here, Mr. Blues Hat?
Once in a while, and on YouTube once in a while, he said, you said Jansen was the last hometown guy. So I guess he was talking about, when he said, what about Stasny? Okay. And then he said, you said Jansen was the last hometown guy.
Last hometown guy before him was Chris Butler.
Who said Stasny was the last hometown guy?
Yeah.
Was that you, Jeff?
I didn't say that.
No, that was Mr. Blue's hat.
No, he said, what about Stasny?
Okay.
Then he said, you said Jansen was the last hometown guy. And he said,
I said Jansen was.
Okay. And
So I was sorely mistaken.
Okay.
And the guy who says "fuck the intern" shit
right.
has corrected us.
Right.
Yep.
So we got that straightened out. Thank God. That was that should have been.
don't forget about Jan Stasny.
Oh.
I already did.
Yes, and Mr. Boozhat says he's on both. He is
okay.
Multi-talented, multitasking.
Well, guys, it was fun having you back again for 2 weeks, and I guess I won't talk to you until training camp.
Yeah, unless we trade for a goalie.
Yeah, or some other crazy shit happens.
I was gonna say, so next time you will hear Bill and Curt will likely be when some crazy shit happens, as Bill would say.
Yeah, and I just want to reiterate that yesterday was a roller coaster of emotions that capped off being quite fun. So
yes, it was.
Or in my case, just don't pay attention and then it's all good.
Yeah.
Right.
We did get one more tweet from bluesrants.com. What about Yashkin, guys? Curious to hear your thoughts on this guy.
Last show about when they qualified him, and I was like, why? I mean, I get it because if somebody, a draft pick, if somebody, wants to put a offer sheet on him or whatever, but it's like, I just as soon just sever ties with Yaskin. I don't know.
I think he fits one role on this team, and that is to be the forward that the Blues fans love to hate now that Patrick Berglund's gone.
You know what? If you would have asked me about Yashkin as last show, as you said, Curt, if you would have asked me on Saturday, I would have said, get rid of the guy. There's no point. But now that Sobotka and Berglund are gone, he's the guy that's going to keep Thorburn as the 13th forward. So You know what? I am okay with Dmitry Yashkin playing on the fourth line.
You make a painfully good point.
Yep.
And we always like to end the show on Jeff's good point. So we will end the show on that.
Well, let's add in one more good point then. If you have been listening to the summer interview series, Zip Zeppa, I was going to have that interview released this week, but because of the Blues' amazing day yesterday, I am pushing that back a week. So the Zip Zeppa interview will be available probably next Monday if you're interested in hearing that. And it was a lot of fun to talk to him again.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
How do you say his last name?
Zeppa.
Isn't it Rizeppa?
Yeah, the R is not silent. I've always heard the R pronounced.
What? Have I been saying his name incorrectly?
Pretty sure.
We are pretty sure you have been.
Oh my!
I meant to ask you about that last show when you said Zeppa. I'm like, and we got away from it, and I was like, how do you say his last name? Is it Zip Zeppa or Zip Rizeppa? Because I've always, now I'm not saying I'm confident in it. Maybe he just pronounces it for TV purposes. Maybe it's actually his name, but I've always heard it as Rizeppa.
Oh my Lord! I interviewed a man and I can't even say his name right.
How many times did you say his last name during the interview? I think you have to go back and listen to it.
At least once.
See what his reaction is.
Jeff, you might be right. It may be like one of those things where the word fort is actually pronounced, or the word forte is actually pronounced fort, but people say it forte.
God. Now I got to record the whole intro again.
Well, you know what? You're welcome.
I will get to the bottom of this.
You know what? Yes, don't go by me, but I'm just, or like the 12 years he was on the air.
Now that you say it, what they did say, here's Zip Rizeppa with sports. Oh, you're right. I've been saying it wrong.
Okay.
I got to stay away from the meth.
Well, you're in Missouri, so you kind of just like breathe it in.
I am dangerously close to Jeffco. I'm about 20 minutes from Jeffco.
Yeah, that's far enough away. Just a day or two in rehab should do you good.
Yeah, maybe I'll check that out tomorrow.
All right. Anything else? We're done.
I think we're good.
All right. Thanks again for Chad. What's his last name?
DeDominicis.
DeDominicis.
Chad DeDominicis for coming on the show out of Buffalo to talk about O'Reilly and the O'Reilly trade. That was good stuff. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. And all the Twitter interactions tonight. Good stuff as well. Oh, wait, one more. I wouldn't have even tendered him a qualifying offer if you want my honest opinion. And that's coming from Anthony Mack about, who is that?
That's about Yashkin.
Yashkin?
Yeah.
That's what I said. But,
Yep. But probably, not wanting to give up an asset for nothing.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So that'll do it for this week's episode of Let's Go Blues Radio. So for Jeff Ponder, Bill Day, and myself, that will do it for this week's episode of Let's Go Blues Radio. Until next time, everyone, let's go Blues.
O'Reilly's Auto Parts.
Way to get the echo going.
War Memorial at 8. Good seats are still available. I'll look at 4. I think that went very well.
Thank you for listening to Let's Go Blues Radio. Now take off, hosers.
Well, there's 90 minutes of your life you'll never get back. Sorry.
St. Louis Blues, St. Louis Blues. Have you heard the news about our St. Louis Blues? They've only just begun, they're on their way to #1. No blues for our St. Louis Blues. The Blues are on the ice tonight again.